This is Jean Boyce Dart, and I'm your host of Courageous Creative Conquerors. And I have with me today a special guest. She's here all the way from Reykjavik, Iceland. And I pronounced that right, I guess. And I have trouble pronouncing her name, so she's going to introduce herself. And she has a very interesting story to tell. Welcome. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Dagbjört Andresdottir. I'm a 30-year-old opera student from Iceland.
Wonderful. Yeah, and we've been chatting over the past couple of weeks, and I just love her story. It's a story of courage. It's a story of inspiration for me and for all of you, I'm sure. And it's a story about creative arts. And I'd like you to just tell us a little bit about what happened at birth and why you're a courageous creative conqueror. What happened when you were born?
So I'm born 2 months early. And when I was born, I had a lack of oxygen. And it caused a lot of brain problems.
Mm-hmm.
For example, mild cerebral palsy, which manifests itself in that my left side of my body is not working well, and I have trouble using it. And also, and what is most profound in my life is CVI, which is cortical visual impairment, which leaves me legally blind due to the brain damage.
Can you explain a little bit more about CVI and what that is for people who don't understand it?
So CVI is a type of visual impairment or even blindness, which is caused by brain damage. So it means that your eyes are mostly fine, but the brain doesn't get the signals correctly. So when the signals go to your brain, the brain interprets the picture wrong.
Okay. So for example, when you're looking at me right now, what can you see?
If I look straight ahead without moving my head, I can see your eyes no more. But if I move my head a little bit down, I can see your whole face.
Okay. And what about the things behind me and around me?
If I look at your face without moving my head, I can see part of your things, but not all of them.
Okay. And this is something that you've had all your life since birth. And you also said it affects, the cerebral palsy, the mild cerebral palsy affects one side of your body. And what is that? What kind of symptoms do you have with that?
So my left side is a lot stiffer than the right one.
Mm-hmm.
And which causes me to have sometimes pains and aches if I have to do a lot of things like walk a lot or stand a long time and doing things. And I have to really be careful with it, because if I overdo it, I will have pain. And also, not because of the CP, but it's probably because of the brain damage. I have severe migraines.
Yes.
And I get a lot of migraine attacks, and I have to not overdo things, so I will not get a lot of pain.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that. I have TBI, multiple brain injuries, and that post-concussion syndrome, multiple brain injuries. Now, for me, the way I understand it is once you have one, you're more likely to have more. Have you had multiple falls and multiple head injuries?
So when I was a kid, after my birth, I had a lot of seizures.
Okay.
And so when that happened, in the end, I was put on medicine, which stopped the seizures until I was 16-year-old when they popped back up.
Oh,
So the seizures might have impacted the brain function a lot. So I don't know.
yeah. So your daily life is one of challenges that most people don't deal with, but you've
Yeah.
dealt with them all your life since birth. So you probably didn't even know that your life is any different than anyone else because you've
No.
always had that. So when did you realize that you're a little bit different than other children growing up?
I think it was when I started elementary school, because I endured a lot of bullying all through my elementary school years, because I couldn't do the things that the kids were doing, like running around and playing all the sports and doing football and basketball and all these sports
Mhm.
things. And I was slow, and of course, because of my visual impairment, I couldn't see like when they were throwing the balls or doing things.
Yeah.
But I didn't know why at that time. But my parents explained to me that I had a brain injury at birth, so that's why I couldn't run or do physical stuff. But
Mhm.
the visual thing, um, I didn't know about it, but until later. So
Yes. And when you say later, when did you finally realize about the visual brain connection?
I was diagnosed with CVI when I was 26 years old, so 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I always had it, and there was always something about my eyes, because I know I have optic atrophy, which means that the nerves that go from the brain to the eyes are damaged. But about the CVI, my mother one time came home from work and said that she had met a little kid at her school. She was a teacher. So she had met this little kid at her school that had this problem, and she had to go to a meeting to learn how to help that kid. And
Mm.
then she kind of had a light bulb aha moment because all his problems ticked in my boxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
So it
that's
was your mother that
yeah,
figured it out. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. And in my understanding with my visual impairment that didn't get discovered until just a few years ago, that this is very common with CVI, that it doesn't get diagnosed. Is that right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
About the diagnosis, me and my mom, when mom had found out that this was something called CVI, we went to my ophthalmologist and asked him about this, and he said, yes, it is CVI, and I have known it since you were born. And then my mom said, why haven't you told us anything about it?
Oh,
And he said, well, I didn't want to stress you out.
oh my goodness.
But he wasn't willing to actually diagnose me
Why
because
not?
he kind of doesn't believe in CVI,
Mm.
And so I went to the Blind Institute here, the Institute for the Blind, and they diagnosed me. And I went to this visual field test, which they test how wide your vision is.
Yes.
And this had never been done on me before. and it said that I had 4% of vision. But it is very misdiagnosed because it doesn't measure in the normal eye test.
Yeah, because it's a brain problem.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
It's not an eye problem, it's the problem of the brain.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So what are some of the emotional symptoms of CVI and mental struggles that you have?
When I was a little kid, I was misdiagnosed on the autism spectrum because of the symptoms of CVI. Because they are really similar sometimes. For example, the sound overload. If you hear, because your hearing gets really sharp, and you hear everything, and even like the smallest sounds could sound super loud. Like, I was deathly afraid of all machines, like the washing machine or the car, and all this kind of stuff. I got really, really afraid of that, but nobody knew why.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid of it anymore.
Yeah.
But
And I think that also having head injury and falls, that's one of the major symptoms is hypersensitivity, and it can affect hearing, smell, any of the, just like through the roof, that in even sensitivity to people's feelings and emotions, and you're just hypersensitive. That's one of the very common symptoms of head injuries. Yeah. So right now, tell us about your life. Is life better now, having the diagnosis and knowing what's going on? Are you navigating through life better? Do you use a white cane? What do you do to deal with this?
I do use a white cane. I got it right after I got diagnosed, and it's a life change, because if I don't use it, I will bump into everybody. I will, people will not, notice that I have a problem, so they can't really help or do anything to make it easier for me, So having it, it's like, it was hard to accept that I needed it, of course, because nobody wants to like be stamped or marked.
Yes.
But it has pretty much saved my life through, like, because without it I would have fallen and maybe broke a bone or something. So it's way better to have it,
Yeah, that's great. I'm so happy for you.
Because of my vision, it's like if somebody who has full vision would take a roll of toilet paper and put it up to their eyes,
Yes.
It's like, so I don't have any, I have lower field loss, so I don't see down or up or to the sides. I only see front. So that's why, I could bump into whatever. And that's where the cane comes in.
Yeah. And emotionally, the second part of the question, are you feeling better after having been diagnosed now and feeling more confident in who you are?
Yeah, it has been a big relief. It was hard to get the diagnosis. Don't misunderstand it. But it's a relief, because now I have something to answer when people ask me.
Yes.
Like before, I said, well, I have this brain injury, but I don't know exactly how it's affecting me,
Yes. And for all those people out there who are musicians and wondering, how can you learn music when you can't see? What would your answer be for that?
So this is true. Due to my CVI, and I'm unable to read sheet music. But what I do is that I have to learn everything by ear. All songs, everything. Maybe I can look at the sheet music and read it up to a really low mark, but it doesn't really, I cannot read it effectively. So I just use my ears.
And so when you're working in a group, like a choir, and they're holding the music and you're not, and there's indications of when to stop or breathe or do things, or the conductor is conducting and you can't see, how do you manage in a group?
Again, listening.
Yeah. And are they able to work with you? Support?
They're really supportive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They help me going up a flight of stairs or down the stairs, and where to be in the group and walking in and out. They help me a lot with those things.
Yeah.
So, and I sometimes can see the conductor if he holds the hands up to my eye level, I can see what he's doing.
Yes.
But if he doesn't, I have to listen.
It's great that you're around people now, like your music teachers and conductor, whatever, that are patient with you and having to give you special instructions. But I'm sure before you were diagnosed, the teachers didn't understand. So you probably you probably saw a lot of people get frustrated and impatient or that. Yeah. So for other people out there that maybe feel lost or discouraged, and they have this yearning to be creative arts, maybe they have that, they know that, and maybe they feel discouraged because they're going through similar trauma, feeling alone. Basically, we can relate to that, feeling like there's no answer. What advice would you give to someone?
I would say, like, most people have at least one person that they can talk about everything to, so maybe just start with that, to find someone that you trust with your whole heart, and just talk about this problem and see what the person says. That's what I did with my parents before they passed.
Yes, that's really good advice. Find a group of people, a support group, like this group, Creative Conquerors, a group of people that understand, or a group that's associated with your particular trauma or physical challenge, or a friend or family member to talk to. That's so important. And if you can't find someone, there's always like phone help, support. There's lots of ways to get that support, and we encourage everybody to do that.
So my mom always encouraged me a lot. And my mom, my dad, my grandparents, everybody, and I think I had it from them. Like, people say I can do stuff, then I just try it, and maybe I can do it, or maybe I can't. And then if I can't, I will just have to find a way to do it anyway,
So you just said that your mother and father are gone. I understand that.
Yes.
They've passed. And so how difficult was that for you, since you depended on them so much, for especially your mother, for that emotional support?
I'm just going to be honest, it has been quite a mess. It's been super hard. But I have a loving family and a lot of people that care about me. I have like my brother, my aunt, my grandparents, my teachers, voice teachers, you know, there's a lot of people that, and of course my best friends
Mhm.
from high school and until now. And, you know, I have a lot of people, but it has still been a lot of drama, a lot of mess, a lot of emotions.
Yes. And I think at this time, you know, going through this pandemic and everything, people lost their parents or other family members. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate to that. As we get older, that happens. We lose our parents and we have to find a new family, you know,
Exactly.
of friends. And sometimes when we're not close to maybe our siblings, after the parents die, we get closer, and that's a good thing. So let's maybe talk about your saving grace, which is music, and you excel at that. In fact, you are an opera singer. When did you first discover music as something that is your safe place?
So my family has always been pretty musical, even though nobody that I know is actually studying it. But it was kind of like they always held a lot of music at me. My mom would sing to me when I was put to sleep when I was a little baby, you know.
Mhm.
And then always introduced me to a lot of different genres of music. And I think it was just when I was a little kid, like the elementary school years, 6, 7-year-old, you know, because I was always at home, always singing,
Mhm.
just random, you know. I never stopped.
So you've been singing since childhood. And when did you discover opera?
It was when I started in the children's choir when I was 11. My mom had been looking for a choir for me because she noticed that I had a voice. And when I started there, we started singing a lot of old stuff, you know, Mozart, Bach, all this.
Classical.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started liking it very much.
Mm-hmm.
And up from there, I got to know opera, and I was kind of an opera fanatic already at like 13, 14-year-old. So
Yes, I love opera. I
yeah,
know why I love it, but why do you like it? What does it do for you?
it's kind of like it can express all the emotions that you can't
Yes, exactly.
like really talk. You cannot like talk about all these feelings, but if
Yeah.
you're singing about them, you're fine.
Yes, that's why I like it. It's very emotional,
Yeah.
and I'm very emotional, and I have all these
I mean,
emotions from being misunderstood or misdiagnosed. And
yeah.
yes, we are kindred souls in that. And singing opera can be angry, you know,
Yeah.
or just very expressive of the pain, because most of them are about suffering, you know, and trauma. All
Yeah.
the storylines, if you read them, they're very traumatic stories of abandonment and pain and suffering and all this. And of course, there's beautiful parts of singing too, expressing love and the relationship. It's about relationships. Most of the people that I've interviewed um, that are courageous conquerors, they have that emotion because of being misunderstood
Exactly.
or traumatized, and they can relate to the trauma, in ability to express it through the arts, whether it's painting, dancing, singing, writing. It's a good way to get that out. Is that what you find?
Yeah, and in some ways I do it every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't use my voice every day, but I look at stuff every day, look at the notes, the sheet music. I listen to things every day.
Okay.
But actual singing.
Just singing for fun too,
Yeah. Yeah. If not at like in the lesson, I'm just like humming around here at home. So
can we hear you sing a little bit? We talked about this and you said you weren't sure. It depends on how your voice is doing and everything. Can we give it a try just for you to sing a little bit of something maybe?
But I can also send you a recording.
Yeah, I think people would love to hear you. And when you sing, with your body, do you express that as well physically? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I would love to hear a little bit. And can you tell us what you're working on right now, or what you would sing for us, a little bit about that, the history of that song, or what it means, what's happening in this song when you sing it, because it's going to be in a different language and we aren't going to understand it. So maybe you could tell us about it.
So I'm going to try to sing for you a few measures of Don Gaglieta, which is an area from the opera La Bohème by Puccini.
And what does the title mean? It
means like the poor person, like a bohème, somebody who's poor,
Okay. So that's what this song is about?
Not specifically, but it's about that this character is called Mimi, and she is in love with Rodolfo, which is like her friend, her boyfriend, and she has to say goodbye to him because she is sick. And she knows that she needs to go away for her to survive the winter because she has tuberculosis.
Oh.
And so, but she doesn't want to. Of course not, but she's trying to like soothe him and saying like, I have to go, but like, don't sweat it. Don't be sad about it,
Mm-hmm. It's sad. Heartbreaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think you'll be very good at singing that with your life journey. Yeah.
So, okay. Donde lieta uscita tua grida torna sola Mimi al solito So that's the
that was so beautiful. Now we had some problems with the sound cutting on and off. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to play a recorded vocal performance, and this is entitled Lass o Welt by Hugo Wolf, and it actually means let me be, O world. And so this is different than the first one, which I really actually love because it's live. You're right here. It's just beautiful. But the recording, here's the recording we're going to share right now.
We could maybe put a YouTube link down in the description,
Yes, please put the link in the chat right now with the video. But I'm going to play it right now here for your listening enjoyment. Just so beautiful. I don't know, I don't know about everybody else, but for me, it just stirs so much emotion and so much inside my heart. So thank you very much. Well, it's just been a pleasure talking to you and an inspiration to hear how you've adjusted to life. And you certainly are a courageous, creative conqueror. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a real
honor.
Pleasure. And I'm honored as well. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. See you next time.